Thinking about my favorite scenes in The Outsiders, there are many scenes that came to be something I was pleased with, others less so. But in a way, my favorite scene was perhaps the most difficult one, and difficult to choose how to do it, which was the big rumble scene, which I was trying to understand how I could do that without actually having them just punching each other. And yet I knew that perhaps as the climactic resolution of this animosity and the strangeness of this animosity, in that even the oldest boys who fight on each side are buddies that are friends, and yet they have to lead their boys. And I think the fact that I made it harder on myself was a good choice, because I added the rain. In other words, I was terrified of how am I going to have them really fight and show them punching each other. And to do that well involves a lot of skill and danger, because it's in a big, that many people fighting in a rumble. Someone's bound to really land a punch on someone and break a jaw or loose a tooth. And I was terrified of that because I really cared for all of those boys. The boys who did it and had to be athletically proficient to be able to look like they were fighting so man to man, as it were, boy to boy, landing punches, and they had to do it in a way that looked really brutal and yet wasn't hurting anybody. So I have to only, I can't take credit for, I tried to stage it in a way that would have the maximum impact. And of course I used the rain as as an element. On one hand, it made the scene look more dangerous and more out of control because they were slipping and falling in the mud. But in a way, that weather also gave a distraction to look at it, perhaps literally how many punches were really landing on, or looked as if, because you always, as you know, try to trick the fact that, you know, the punch is thrown and the other person throws their head, but there was never a contact because it would be too harmful. And I have to give credit to the stunt people who worked with them, which probably was Buddy Joe Hooker and folks who are experts at how to make something look ferocious. And even some of the boys in that group, I think the other fellow who was Darry's friend from Associates, I think actually was a stunt guy. And very often you mix in with the boys young stunt players who know how to give the illusion of hitting someone without hurting them. When you shoot a scene like that, you need many what are called setups, which are shots, and every shot takes time to do. So it made the sequence doubly and even triply more difficult and more dangerous in a way. So the fact that we actually did it and that those boys performed so beautifully in it is something I'm proud of, and I'm proud for them. The costumes, of course, were very appropriately realistic. We followed Susie Hinton's description because she talked about how the Socs dressed.
The odds are as even as we can get. You stay close to me.
All films come with their anxiety because, you know, you're working against a schedule, and it's a little bit like running on a railroad track in front of a locomotive. In other words, if you trip, if you make a mistake, if you're a little too slow, the locomotive will run over you. And of course, most of the movies I've ever made, I've had that anxiety of, hoping I can get what I've intend to accomplish in that day, in the day, and not have to either sacrifice it, which is to say just not even try to shoot it, or get what was a vision in the picture. And different scenes present their own difficulties. I remember the scene of the church, burning church, with the little children escaping from the church was, for some reason, very difficult to get, and I was very worried and not sure basically if I was doing it well. In terms of the opposite of that, of a scene that I felt really good about, any scene that had Diane Lane in it was a joy. She, as a little kid, I saw her in a movie, I think it was called A Little Romance, where she was just 8 or 9 years old and played a beautiful role in a film in which Laurence Olivier was also. And whenever she was present on the set, it was my favorite scene. I must say that about her. She just was a most lovely, talented, kind, and gracious young person, and a pleasure to have in that movie. Also, I had my own daughter, Sophia, who in those days, when she was in a film, always wanted to be called Domino for some reason I don't understand. And she's in The Outsider. She's in the scene where Matt Dillon and the boys are fugitives, and they're sort of running away from the law, and they're trying to get a Dairy Queen. And two little girls, one with the sort of buck teeth, comes up and says, "Hey, mister, you got a dime?" And they say, "Got it, beat it, beat it, beat it." And they say, "No, we need one more dime to get an ice cream. Do you got a dime?" And he said, "No, I got." And then when the two little kids are chased away, Matt Dillon says, "That was a close call." That was Sophia, who was the little girl who wanted a dime.
You sure?
Could you please go away? We're busy here. Could you go away?
You have a dime?
Go away! Get out of here! That was a close call.